Looking back at Chapter 15 of The Mandalorian, where Temuera Morrison fully reprises his role as Boba Fett, I spotted a dark figure standing next to Grogu while Boba Fett, Mando, and Fennec Shand were fighting off the stormtroopers, and looking like this figure was communicating with Grogu on the scene. This means a lot, including the final battle and what Grogu really saw. The real question is, how did this figure get there so quick, without a ship or alarming Mando? So in this chapter, we saw Grogu captured in Moff Gideon's hands, meditate through the Force, and Boba Fett taking back his armor, which was absolutely awesome. So when Grogu was meditating, creating the force field around him so that no one can touch him or even get inches to him, Mando obviously had to fight the stormtroopers with Boba Fett and Fennec Shand. In the background though, while he goes to meet up with Boba Fett while Grogu was meditating, in the background we can see a dark figure standing next to the seam looking like a human, and could be none other than a Jedi. We are taken to a shot where we can get a better look at the seam with Fennec Shand having her sniper on Grogu. With this much better shot, we can see the figure better. But the interesting thing about this is that Fennec Shand would have had eyes on this figure, and we can see that later in this episode, she's on Mando's side. So she would notify Din Djarin that there was someone at the seam with the child, but she didn't. So what I'm saying is that Fennec Shand would have seen this figure, and since she is on Mando's side in later in the episode, she would have notified that there was someone with Grogu on that seam. This means that Grogu saw a memory. If us viewers would have been only able to see this figure and none of the other characters could have, this means that Grogu had to have seen a memory. This wasn't someone physically there at the seam, but mentally, for Grogu at least. We saw this in The Rise of Skywalker as well, where Kylo Ren saw a memory of his father, Han Solo, when none of the other characters could. Let's think about it. If this figure were to actually be a Jedi, there could have been no possible way that this Jedi arrived at the seam 100% undetected, plus Mando would have seen a figure and zoomed in on that figure while he looked back at it, but he didn't see this figure, therefore it had to have been one of Grogu's memories. This figure from Grogu's memory had to have also been from during the Clone Wars. I think that this figure is Anakin Skywalker. I think that at the Jedi Temple, Anakin retrieved Grogu and put him into hiding. This would make sense because Grogu did use Force Choke on Cara Dune during Mando and Cara Dune's arm wrestling contest. Even young Padawans don't know of Force Choke. It would make sense that Anakin retrieved Grogu from the Jedi Temple, taught him Force Choke, trained for a little bit, but after figuring out what Palpatine would do to him, he put Grogu into hiding. Since we saw that in The Mandalorian Season 2, we saw that Moff Gideon's plan was to carry on what Palpatine started and get a donor for a clone of Palpatine or Snoke. This would actually make sense, and we saw someone at that seam with Grogu, yet Fennec Shand or Mando didn't even see it, even with her scope on Grogu. This means that if only Grogu could see this figure, it had to have been someone from his memories, and I think that this is Anakin Skywalker after turning to the dark side because of how Grogu also used Force Choke on Cara Dune. This could also be a Force Ghost, but this figure was dark. A Force Ghost is far too light and is practically see-through. Comment what you think of this crazy theory that Grogu saw a memory of Anakin Skywalker on the seam, and subscribe for more Star Wars content.